Hello everybody, on this video I'm gonna walk you through how to set up your lights. So on your light kit, you're gonna find your AC adapter right there. I'll put that right there. And very important, remember that there's two pieces to it, so please don't lose either or. Our light, GBM light, right there. Let's go ahead and pull it out. Alright, I'll go ahead and walk you through the pieces real quick. This is the joke. And then this parts on the side will tighten the light to whatever desired position you want to use. Over here we have the barn doors. They open like this. Perfect. They're somewhat fragile, so please be careful when you handle them. And perfect. Great. So this is how you open the barn doors. Over here on the side, the light comes already with a filter that you can slide out. Let me see. Go ahead. So you just push it on the side, right there. You can slide it out, slide it back in. Perfect. I'm gonna close this. Perfect. That's your light. On the back of the light, you have the controls. There's two power settings. One, you would go here if there was a battery attached to it. And then if you're doing power directly to the light, you go right here. And then over here is where we plug the power line. And then these are the controls that I will walk you through in just a second. Alright, I'll go ahead and plug the light really quick on the back. And go ahead and turn it on. And I'll walk you through the settings on the back real quick. This you would do after the light is attached to the light stand. So the mode you want to be on is rotate, right there. There's different modes. Slave, this is when you're connected to another group of lights. There's master, same when you're connected to another group of lights. This would be the master light, and the other lights would follow the same settings as of this light. And then there's also a Wi-Fi mode. This would be if you connect the light to your Wi-Fi and you can, well, you were actually connected to your phone. There's a mobile app, and I think there's more information on how to set up the app. And the next mode, there's some settings for special lighting. So we have like TV mode, candle mode, cop car. You can kind of see the different settings, lighting, but what we are going to be using it on is rotate, meaning that you will be able to rotate the knobs to set up your brightness, how much brightness you want coming from the light, and what's the temperature you want on the light. So, and it's measured in Kelvin. We have our light stand. I already pulled it out. The first thing we want to do with the light stand is to remove this rubber thing. It's like a cap it has on the top. You can go ahead and remove it. Perfect. And remember, for all knobs, again, we do righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, meaning that if we want to tighten them, we go to the right. If we want to loosen them, we'll go to the left. So the first step on the list is to set up your light stand. And the first thing you need to know is that there's a knob right here. So from the bottom up, the first knob you need to loosen. And you would be able to open the legs. Slowly pull them open. Perfect. And just pushing up. Right, great. Um, you don't want your legs to be too close like this or too wide like that. So find the spot right in between. Something that happened to me while setting up these lights is that when you put weight on top, the legs tend to spread apart, and it also depends on the floor you're working on. For instance, for some reason they slide off very easily on my bedroom's floor. So make sure we go finger tight, but just go a little bit tighter for safety. I want to say just a little bit tighter than finger tight. You want to make sure the light won't slide down. But also try make sure you don't torque it. You don't use like all the strength in your hand to tighten it, because then you will break the screws right here. Right? So once this is set, we are going up. So the first this right here, there's 1, 2, 3 knobs. These are the risers of the stand. You want to go. You want to use the first riser first. So you loosen up the top one. You will go up. And then make sure when you go up, don't go all the way to the top. Make sure you go up and then go back about somewhere between 1 and 2 inches. That way you're not putting all the weight up, and then if for some reason it tilts, it can fall apart. So make sure you go back down 2 inches. Don't pull it up all the way, and then tighten it. Then let's see, it's a little bit too short, so I'll go a little bit higher. So if I'm going up, I'm gonna do the second riser. So always go from top to bottom. This is the second riser. You loosen it first. You go up all the way, and then you go back 1.5 inches or so, and tighten it. Perfect. And that's a little bit too tall for me, so I'll go a little bit lower just so you guys can see. Seems about right. A little lower. Okay. Perfect. Every time you're adjusting the height in your risers, make sure you're holding the top riser. Because you never, you can get, and it's happened to me actually in the studio. I just went in and I moved one of the risers thinking that I was holding the top part, and then the whole thing collapsed down and it had a light on, and I broke the light. So yeah, make sure you're always holding the top riser when you're making any changes. So for instance here, I'm holding the top riser. Maybe I'll go back a little bit. And I'm going down or up. Okay. Perfect. Alright, now that everything's finger tight, if you have a sandbag, go ahead and use it to stabilize your tripod. So you would want the sandbag to be on one of the legs. You want to butt crack it, so just put it between both legs right here to give it more stability to your light stand. Okay. Next, we're grabbing our light. When you are handling your light, make sure you grab it by the yoke on the side, right here on the sides. And the first thing you want to do is put the head of the light onto the baby pin right there, and make sure it actually went through. What happens a lot of times is that this is already screwed in, so it will not go through all the way, and you may think that it's already attached, and when you let go, the whole thing falls over. So make sure this is unscrewed first, and then you can go on the light right there. Make sure it's safely placed, and then you go righty-tighty until it's safe enough. Again, don't over torque it, just finger tight enough to make sure it's safely placed. Again, when you're handling the light, grab it by the sides, not by this part. Alright, and then we will attach the power source to our light. I've already connected the power to the adapter right here, and this will go in the back as I showed you before. Something you need to be aware of is cable management. So, for instance, right here I'm setting up my light, and maybe you can't see it, but I have the cable just hanging out like across my room. If anybody walks through, let's say a friend of mine is walking, or maybe a family member walks through, and they can trip over the cable and they can just bring the whole thing down. Especially because these light stands are pretty lightweight, and we don't really have sandbags, so it's really easy to trip over. So watch out for cable management. If you can, run the cable through like behind your curtains or behind furniture in the safest possible way. So I want to tighten both sides of the yoke right here. Once I set up, once I found the angle I want the lights to be going through. Okay, perfect. So that will be my angle. Great. And next we're gonna open the barn doors. Beautiful. Great. And now we're set. Now we can actually, well, I'm not gonna do it directly at the camera. We can, and I'll show you guys. You'll be able to see. We can turn on the light. Perfect. And as I showed you before, we want to be on mode, whoops, it's a little blurry. You want to be in rotate mode, and you'll be able to manipulate how bright the light can be. So let's go all the way up. Alright, and that's pretty bright. You can also control your temperature. So I think right there is at 5600 Kelvin, but if you go lower, the light starts getting warmer. We're good to break down your light, so turn it off, and we're good to break it down. So the first thing is to unplug the light, and for some cables we do over under, because they're very fragile. Power cables are a little more sturdy, but I know for sure that at the for the AV room we also do over under. So I mean, this cable is pretty small, and I think it's already trained to go a certain way. So that's okay if you do it this way. Perfect. Great. And same for the other cable. Alright. And then we want to remove the light from the stand. If for some reason it was too high, let's say you had it set up like at a very high setting and you couldn't reach out to get it from the top, you first want to bring it down. So again, always hold the top riser and then start going down with the other ones. So that's the first, second riser. Now right there. And now we can remove the light. So let's go ahead and close the barn doors. Perfect. And let's remove the light. Great. And you want to loosen this up a little bit, not too loosen, not too tight. And this is good to go back in the case. Well, back in the bag. Perfect. Alright. Great. And then we can break down the descent. So do the lower risers first, always holding the top riser, and then go down, tighten it, and then top riser, go down, tighten it. Okay. And another thing to keep in mind is that all of these knobs have to be aligned to each other. So I'll show you. So we want all the knobs to be facing the same direction. So we'll go ahead and move the bottom one, then the second one, and then third one. So they're all facing the same direction. And then we can break down the bottom part. So you loosen it. And push it down. So now that we finished this is good to go back in the case. When you put it in the case, make sure you do this part on the bottom so the top part is on the top end. Show you. Okay. Right. So that way when you return the equipment, it's easier for us to just pull down the top part to make sure all the knobs are aligned and locked. Okay, great. Thank you.